Every single Tesla that rolls off the production line today comes with a suite of high-quality cameras that provide a 360-degree coverage of the vehicle's exterior. That's because, like many new cars coming onto the road today, with some form of semi-autonomous driver assistance features, these cameras allow the car to see the world around it. It's those same cameras which not only allow Tesla's autopilot system to use machine learning algorithms to keep you and the car safe on the road, but also form the backbone of Tesla's equally famous Sentry mode, as well as offer unparalleled built-in dashcam capabilities. But the interior camera that's found in Model 3 and Model Y, the one that you might not have even noticed that sits just above the central rearview mirror, first introduced in Model 3 in 2017, it's been the case of much speculation as to what its actual purpose is. And in a world where people are conscious of the privacy concerns that cameras pose, it is totally understandable that people want to know why it's there and what it's used for. For a long time, it was assumed that those cameras would just be used to keep an eye on the driver. But earlier this year, Elon Musk stated that Model 3 and Model Y would use the camera for something else entirely, ensuring that strangers don't trash your car. The idea that in the future, when Tesla sets up its robo-taxi fleet of self-driving, fully autonomous Teslas, the driver-facing camera inside each vehicle would be able to record activity inside the cabin while the car was driving someone around, and that camera would be used to ensure that no one trashed the interior of a car they didn't own. It was also revealed that the camera could be used to capture images of a driver prior to an accident, something that could help insurance companies and accident investigators determine who exactly was at fault at the time of an accident, and to make sure that the driver in the Tesla was actually paying full attention. But as one Tesla white hat hacker detailed on Saturday on Twitter, Tesla's driver-facing camera isn't just a video streaming solution or a video recording solution for your car. It might be operating as part of the autopilot system too. You see, Tesla, just like many other automakers out there, looks like it's using driver-facing cameras as a way to make sure that you, the driver, aren't distracted behind the steering wheel. And in using that camera in this way, it could dramatically improve road safety for everyone. And I'm about to explain why. The news comes courtesy of a Tesla hacker who goes by the name of Green the Only on Twitter, who said on Twitter over the weekend that they have uncovered references in Tesla's operating system to a driver attentiveness subroutine that uses what they are lovingly calling the, quote, selfie camera in Model 3. Green the Only said that the various conditions the software tries to detect include eyes nominal, eyes down, eyes up, eyes closed, looking left, looking right, head down, and of course, phone use. While some Tesla owners have jokingly and not so jokingly reacted to the news by saying that they're eager to cover the camera up, or simply expressed a "well duh, of course" to this news, we thought it would be a good idea to explore why this news is great for Tesla, Tesla drivers, and every other road user too. Let's look back to last week, when Euro NCAP's test of advanced driver assistance systems praised Tesla's autopilot for being able to react to the world around it, but heavily criticised the lack of driver engagement features designed to make sure that the driver was paying attention all the time. This was both in terms of a lack of positive feedback through the steering wheel, sensors to make sure the driver was looking at the road ahead, and nagging or bugging the driver to pay attention if it deemed that they weren't. And yes, I know that Tesla's autopilot, like most semi-autonomous systems, expects you to keep your hands on the wheel, and if you don't, the car warns you a few times before actively shutting off. But it's also pretty easy to fool that system, and frankly it's possible to have your hands at 10 and 2 and still not really be paying attention. Frankly, the same is true of many other semi-autonomous assistance systems, which is where these cameras come in. They provide accountability and security, and many automakers who aren't Tesla, including Mercedes-Benz and General Motors, use driver-facing cameras already to make sure that the driver is paying attention. It's good to see Tesla join these ranks, and frankly, the driver attentiveness system might even make it possible for Tesla to accelerate its goal of going fully autonomous. In the last few years, we've seen some pretty astonishing examples of people not paying attention behind the wheel of a Tesla and over-relying on autopilot, either by purposely trying to circumvent the nag system that Tesla has got in place, or by simply not paying attention. And regardless of if they are pranks or not, like the Canadians cited recently for allegedly falling asleep at the wheel while their car was speeding along the freeway, something many of you state is simply not possible with Tesla's current software, this all poses a risk to the occupants and other road users. And then, of course, there are all of those horrendous accidents, some fatal, in which the driver of an autopilot-enabled car was distracted behind the wheel. In fact, I'd suggest that of the autopilot-related accidents and fatalities that have occurred to date, most have occurred because of an over-reliance on the car's system, a complacency from the driver which ultimately meant that they lost attention on the road ahead. Again, at this point, I feel I should note that I'm not excusing the autopilot of all blame. In many cases I've heard of, the technology has behaved as a level 3 semi-autonomous system should have, exactly how it was programmed to, at least for the most part. Instead, it's the drivers who often give the system more faith than they should, be that because of misleading terminology for autopilot driving, or just complacency behind the wheel brought on by an uncanny valley of driving competency. These inevitably lead to scary headlines and concern about autonomous vehicles operating. And yes, we've covered these accidents and raised questions before about if we humans can really be trusted with a system that's not 100% fully autonomous, because we are flawed. To be clear, Tesla's autopilot system has proven to be far safer than not having one in terms of reducing accidents. But it's not 100% fully autonomous, level 5 fully autonomous. And that means there has to be a better way to ensure the driver is playing their part. In bringing a camera-based driver attention system online, Tesla does several important things. First, it can make things a whole lot easier for Tesla in the cases of accidents to argue that the driver was not paying attention. If the driver wasn't looking at the road ahead and an accident occurs, well, it's far easier for Tesla to argue the driver wasn't using the system as it was intended and designed. That is, to all intents, a great insurance policy for Tesla, which we should remind ourselves offers insurance for Tesla drivers. Second, it allows Tesla to tune its driver-attentive system far more than it currently does. Sure, someone may have cheated the steering wheel sensors into thinking they had their hands on the steering wheel when they didn't, but confusing a digital camera enough into thinking that you're paying attention when you're not, well, that's a lot harder. Ergo, people will probably just do what the car asks them to. Again, this results in far more attentive drivers and a far less likelihood that if and when things do go wrong in those edge case scenarios, then the car is blamed. And if Tesla can make these systems harder to fake and harder to ignore, it probably means it's more likely to get regulatory approval to push level 4 autonomous driving to its cars around the world. And Tesla's autopilot systems can already manage 80 to 90% of all driving duties. The recently released software update to enable autopilot to pass through a green-lit intersection without any human interaction pushes that competency up even further. But that last bit of autonomous driving, the capability to handle absolutely every situation without a human doing anything, well, that very feature is required for level 5 autonomous driving. And that's proving a lot harder than Tesla, and frankly, pretty much every other company out there thought. Having a camera facing towards the driver, checking for attentiveness, and taking appropriate actions if the driver isn't paying attention, well, that makes it a lot easier for Tesla to prove to legislators that it's ready for whatever the world can throw at it. That, and make sure that insurers are happy knowing that the car is capable of knowing when the driver isn't really all there. So there you have it. Tesla's driver-facing camera looks like it's going to be playing a much bigger part in keeping you safe in the future. And frankly, if you're worried about it, just remember it could save you money, help Tesla towards full autonomy, and maybe even save your life. And make sure that you're not blamed if things go wrong and it's not your fault. Although, if it is your fault, well, yeah, no escape. That's it. Thanks for joining me and see you next time.